gorgeous ones, how are you? Dr. Lucy here from Real Life Medicine with my two screens, so I don't know which one I'm looking at, and my wooden spoon microphone. I hope you're all happy and well, and you're probably not because you're all in lockdown, and so we're all a bit grumpy. Hey Heather, how are you, darling? So, Wendy, good afternoon. So tonight I'm cooking something a little different for me. So as you know, I normally focus on the concept of you build your plate. You get your protein, you add a couple of veggies. If the protein's lean, we add some fat, and then we add some flavor. And that is really how the majority of my recipes go. But tonight, I'm liking this microphone, it's quite good. Tonight, hi Jody. Tonight I'm making a berry crumble, and it's in honor of my good friend Tracy McBeath, and it's her recipe. So I will link to, most of you know Tracy. If you don't, she's an absolutely amazing woman in the low carb world. It's her birthday today. And a couple of days ago in low carb Melbourne, she posted a picture of her crumble with the recipe, very generous. And I thought that's right up at my alley because it doesn't have any sweeteners in it. So in our membership at the moment, we have a challenge, and the challenge for the month is that it's August, alcohol-free August, alternate sweeteners or artificial sweeteners, whichever word you want to use. They're free, we're not having those as well. And obviously within that counts sugar. Now, it's been a really fascinating little experiment for me. Hey Michelle, how are you, gorgeous? So what it meant was that, you know, my favorite thing to do in the evening when I'm not doing online coaching is to sit on the couch with my cup of tea and my crochet. I sound about a million. And sometimes some dark chocolate. And when I say sometimes, I'm kind of meaning every single night. And it started off like one square of 95. I'm hardcore, it's right up there, it's the very dark. But one square became 2 squares, became 3 squares, became 4 squares, sometimes 6 squares over the night. I was still having a bit of chocolate in my mouth at 11:30 at night. That is just not helpful. Hello, Marilyn. So it's not a helpful habit. So because of this challenge, I've stopped it. No chocolate, no artificial anything. I don't have a lot of it anyway, but if I was, you know, like my chocolate mousse, none of that. Nothing on the couch after dinner. No wine. It's been really, really good to do because I've had just quite a bit of stress at work. Nothing, you know, that other doctors aren't experiencing, but just COVID and people's distress and managing all of that. And in the past, my life would have been gone, oh my God, my work's so hard. Just let me go on the couch and have a glass of wine and some dark chocolate. And yes, it's on plan, so to speak, but it was just a habit that was becoming unhelpful. So, Dr. Udi. No, I'm not Dr. Udi, I'm now Dr. Apron. So, anyway, this crumble that I'm going to make, and I've got this little thing. I don't know if it's a rebellious streak in me, but I have never followed a recipe to the letter. I know there are people out there who follow it absolutely, and I always go, oh, that looks good, but I'm just going to do this as well. So I don't know what that says about my personality. But let's get cracking. It's simple. It's so simple. So it's a berry crumble. So I'm just getting some blueberries and some raspberries. Now the key to a crumble, right? Don't have a dish that's too big because you want your crumble to be a decent thickness, don't you? You know when you spread out a big dish and then you've got sort of no crumble because it's, you know, it's so thin. So I'm just using a medium dish. It's an old Corningware. I'm sure who here has Corningware in their cupboard. This was a wedding present, so it's, you know, nearly 25 years old. So I'm just going to, now probably I should have let them defrost a little bit, but it doesn't actually matter. They're going into the oven, so you know they're going to defrost their little heads off. And basically I'm just doing a mixture of some raspberries and some blueberries. Now for those of you who count, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about counting in a minute and what counting means. Marilyn, you've got one of these? Fantastic. But yeah, they're like an icon. It does come with the lid, and I've used it for a few things. But what it means is that the dish is not super full, so that the crumble is going to sit nice on top and not be too sparse. We don't want a Spartan crumble. Now, I'm just going to grab a bowl, which I forgot to get. I'm actually going to get a glass bowl so you can see what I'm doing. I'm a bit tired today. I actually went to Pilates. I've been going to Pilates again. I've got a new physio. Now, here's the tip, right? So I started with Pilates at the start of the year. I thought, yeah, I'm going to do Pilates. It's going to be really good for my muscular dystrophy. And I went quite a few times, and I loved the girl. She was beautiful. We had such fun. But I didn't love the Pilates. It felt hard. I didn't feel like I was doing anything. It made me feel really disabled. And I just stopped going. Anyway, I thought I'm going to give it a go. And I went to just a different person. So anyway, I've gone to this physio. She's got a bit more equipment. And it's really good. And she works me really hard. So I come away and I'm just, you know when you've just got that little bit of leg wobble? Yeah, I've just got a bit of that going on. So the recipe, it will come up on the website. This is Tracy's recipe. Oh, Connieware's worth a fortune. Excellent, I can retire. Her recipe, it's a cup of almond meal. So you just put that in there. And 2 cups of shredded coconut. Now I don't have 2 cups. So I'm just going to put in what I've got. So you could be doing the desiccated coconut, you know, the little one, but I don't have any of that either. So I'm just doing the shredded one. Now, let me check. Yeah, this has just got coconut. Check your coconut. Sometimes they have a sweetener on it. Can you imagine? So look at my measuring. Oh, I do have 2 cups, give or take. Great, well that'll do. And since I don't want to have, 20 cents worth of coconut in the bottom, I'm just going to put it all in. Don't you hate it? I hate when people leave, this much stuff at the bottom of the thing. And there's some sort of joy, I'm sure there's some fancy word, there's the joy of finishing a packet and you go, good, and you just throw it in the bin. That makes me feel good. So, little bit of a stir here. Now, what she also does, half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Again, I'm not much of a measurer, so I'll just pour a little bit in there. That looks about right. And I'm also going to put in a bit of vanilla, but I'm going to do that a bit later. Oh, bugger it, I'll do it now. So I'm just going to put in a capful, some amount of vanilla. Pop that through there. Now, this is where it gets a bit of... Now, if you've got a food processor, you could easily do it in there. But I thought since we're having a chat, I'm just going to chat and rub this in. So it's 250 grams, half a thing of butter. So do you remember the old days of making scones where you used to have to rub the butter into the flour? So that's what I'm going to do. So there you go, my Year 10 home eco skills are coming to fruition. So there's a couple of things I thought I'd chat about tonight while I'm rubbing this butter in. And it's come up a couple of times in people at work. So, I basically think of what am I going to talk about on the cooking show, and some beautiful person gives me some inspiration, and I think, oh, that's a good thing to talk about. It's better than picture sound. It's a better picture sound watching on Instagram. Interesting. Or maybe you mean a better picture, or picture and sound. Wow, okay, cool. Well, that's good to know. Maybe I'll ditch the Facebook one, especially as I've chopped my head off. Instagram, you have tall ways, and Facebook, you have to go long ways. Otherwise, you get those big black lines either side. So, for those of you who don't know, to rub it in, you need cold butter, so don't let it get too soft. Straight out of the fridge. You chop it into some little cubes, and then you literally, it's like giving it a little massage. You just get this little bit of, so I'm showing you here, and you just massage the butter into the powder of whatever it is. So this one is coconut and almond meal, obviously. So, so this came up a bit this week, and it was the difference between low carb and keto. And what is keto? And actually, what is keto? And that's a really good question, because it's not as obvious as it seems. Oh, you don't do Instagram. Okay, Clara, I'll stay on Facebook. I'm doing the double time. I feel like a twin. Hi. So low carb and keto. So there's no, the traditional ketogenic diet was done in the 1920s to help children with intractable epilepsy, and it was really effective. It's incredibly high fat. So, and if you're doing it for epilepsy, I thoroughly recommend that you see a dietitian or a doctor or whoever, somebody who is well versed in the ketogenic diet for epilepsy, because it's quite different to, so that's like we call that therapeutic ketogenic diet, quite different to a nutritional ketogenic diet. So it's quite fun. It sort of feels like I'm, massaging something. So a nutritional ketogenic diet is any diet, if you like, that gets you burning or producing ketones. I think producing is the good word. So you can be low carb and still produce ketones. You can be on a keto, what would be considered to be a ketogenic diet, not necessarily produce ketones. So what's the big deal about ketones? So you don't have to produce ketones, but ketones are a breakdown. They're part of the fat metabolism. When your fat is being used for fuel, one of the byproducts is ketone bodies. And they are a type of fuel as well. Very, very effective for the brain. So the brain likes it, which is why it's used for epilepsy. Epilepsy is a brain disorder. So the thought being, well, it's really could be useful for other brain disorders, and it probably is. So there's some trials on Parkinson's and using ketones for that. There's some evidence in mental health, particularly schizophrenia, that ketone bodies can be helpful for that. And there's lots of stuff going on. I'm not completely across all the research these days, but there's stuff going on looking at the ketogenic diet, a well-formulated ketogenic diet for mental health disorders as well. So that's something to know. This is quite fun. It feels like I'm doing, Play-Doh. Like there's something sort of maybe like cat-like about it, where you're just massaging. Anyway, so you can get ketones from either eating a lot of fat, eating exogenous ketones, which is not something I recommend generally. So exogenous ketones are people that are selling ketone, fat blaster, blah, drops and shakes. Or you can burn your own body fat and produce ketones. And that's my favourite bit to do. So you can do that with low carb or what is traditionally called keto. So most people refer to a ketogenic diet when your carbohydrate intake is less than 20 grams a day or 25. But you can certainly produce ketone bodies with a slightly higher carb count than that. You don't have to do the 25 grams, and you certainly don't have to eat truckloads of fat. What you do probably need to do, though, is some intermittent fasting. Yes, Georgia Ede is big on mental health. You're absolutely right, Nick. She's got a lot. If anyone ever wants to look her up, Georgia Ede, E-D-E. Hello, Marie. She talks a lot about the ketogenic diet for mental health. I think the difference is, and this is why our community is called low carb real food, because there is no evidence that processed food, and in fact, I'm sure there's evidence that it is harmful. There is no evidence that using processed food, so all of those products that are basically filled with seed oils and fillers and emulsifiers and all the things that we talk about, there is no evidence that they have any benefit in mental health. And in fact, there is evidence to suggest that real food does. So our big philosophy, low carb real food. Start off when you're first starting. You do need to start higher fat when you're first starting, and that's all about the woodshed. And if you guys have watched me from before, you know about that. But then you can drop your fat because you'll burn your own. Doesn't mean you go back to low fat, like hideous low fat lifestyle, which was feral and made me hungry for my whole life. But going back to this is so fun. I cannot believe I'm obviously a bit depleted in some sort of texture. This would certainly be a good mindfulness activity. So I think the idea is that when you're first going, you can have lots of fat. And you can get your fat from cream, you can get it from butter, you can get it from coconut oil if you want to, you can get it from the fat on the meat. And then you need to drop it, because we don't actually need that much fat if we've got a lot of fat on our body. Because we can make our own ketones just from burning. I'd much rather burn my, bum fat or my stomach fat than be drinking some fat. So I think that's really important. Now, interestingly, part of the reason I love talking a bit about fat, though, is that fat and protein together are the most satiating, meaning keeping you full for the longest, combo. So that's why salad doesn't fill you up. There's no fat, there's no protein in salad, especially when the olden days when we just had salad with a bit of vinegar on it. Seriously, it was basically water. No wonder we were all starving. So the idea but lean meat by itself, so very lean steak, lean chicken, if you're just doing that, it doesn't fill you either. And there's some research on that, but and it's called the rabbit diet, and they're not talking about rabbit food. They're talking about actual rabbits, because rabbits are very, very lean. Hello, Carol. I can see you watching. Hello. That's my practice manager at work. Hello, Winnie. So it's funny, you get to see who's watching. Sometimes, as I said, you get to see... sometimes Facebook's my friend and it'll show me all the comments, and sometimes it shows me nothing. All right, so look at that. That's basically it. You've watched me just massage that in, and look, I don't know, probably took 10 minutes, but it was quite fun, and I could certainly do it while I'm chatting. So basically we're going to sprinkle this on, and as I said, because I haven't made my dish super shallow, I've got a beautiful, big, thick bit of crumble. Now, just shove that in there, spread that out. So, now here's the thing I'm going to add, because I cannot do just something. I found these sitting around. There's some, my hands are a bit oily. They're sliced almonds. If I had macadamias, I probably would have put them in, but I've ditched macadamias for the moment because I don't have a lot of control around them. I can't get the packet open because my hands are too greasy. Hang on, I'll just get a sharper knife. So if I had macadamias, I probably would have put them in, but yeah, these are just some sliced natural almonds. I actually like a bit of salt in the crumble, which sounds weird, but it is that salty, slightly salty sweet stuff that is really a nice combo. So if I had salted, oh, don't look at this. This is like some amateur, but I don't have a knife, and my hands are greasy. Aha, there we go. Woohoo! Finally. So there we go. So these are just some sliced almonds. Again, you could, if you had, I've probably got almonds somewhere. You can just chop your own. I'm just putting them on top, just for a little bit of something else, a bit special. So that's it. Now I was contemplating, and I feel like I've shown extreme restraint not putting these in, because I don't know if they're going to be any good. I was contemplating adding these cacao nibs. But because I think cacao goes really nicely with berries, but I wasn't sure how they'd go up having not ever cooked with them. I've used them in raw food, but I don't know what they're like cooked, so I'm not going to bother. This goes on at 160 degrees for 25 minutes, and that's it. So super, super simple. Now, recap on last week's food. The chicken, the little chicken wings, beautiful. Probably a little too much smoky paprika. I don't think I'll do that next time. And next time I really am going to try and find a good tandoori spice. If anyone knows a brand of tandoori that is just spices without the sugar and out the fillers and out all the wow, no seed oils, just pop it in the notes, because I'd be super keen to have a look at that. And now I'm going to pop this in the oven. Tonight, I feel like an Uber Eats ad. Tonight, I'll be having Mexican mince with cheesy cauliflower and a berry crumble. Lovely peeps, have a wonderful night. It's nearly 6 o'clock. I'm going to let you go. Just to let you know that the 12-week Mind Body Rebalance coming up. Doors open on Monday. If you're in our email list, you'll be getting emails about it. I'm sorry, there's probably quite a few. It's fascinating. We often think that we don't want to bother people too much. Like, I hate spam. But we put out all these emails, and then about 3 days after the cart closes, somebody goes, oh, I didn't know it was on. I'm thinking, oh my God, I've been boring people stupid about it, and you didn't hear. So I just figure, oh well, I've really got to just bore you all a little bit more. So the enrollment doors open on Monday. 4 bonuses on Monday, only if you buy on Monday. They are Mingle, big packet of Mingle that comes to your door, worth about $75. They are our hypnosis. We have a hypnosis program. I know that you all love it. Oh, I've made you smile, Clara. Beautiful. We have Sugar Addiction Masterclass. And if you sign up just on the Monday, Thermo Foodies and the chef, they're our friends as well. We are gifting you a recipe book that is for thermo, but also has non-thermo translation. It's like thermo cooking is like another language, so you need the translation if you're just going to be like a normal person and just cook with, knives and pots. So anyway, that's enough. Keep an eye out for that on Monday. Otherwise, my loves, the podcast came out today, a bit more on emotional eating, and I know I do ask this a lot. I ask a lot of you, and I'm sorry. But if you did love it, can you just please give us a little review? It's so helpful. Liz, you're beautiful. I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. Lovelies, I'll let you go. I'll see you all next week, if not before. Bye, sweets. Wish my camera crew would come back.